All right, here with Stitch Duran. Stitch, I don't know if you were aware of it, but this past weekend there was a fight where there was a pretty nasty cut. Badou Jack, his fight with Marcus Browne. Obviously, you did see it. First of all, what did you think of that cut?
Well, I did see it, man. I was looking at it, and I was looking. It was a bad cut. You know, whenever you get that type of cut, there's a big vein that we all have. When you laugh, it pops up. Well, he severed that vein, so to stop it, you're not going to stop it. You know, if you can control it and maintain it, and you know, at this point, you have to determine one thing. Number one, how bad the cut is. You know, I know Vladimir Klitschko, when I worked with him, when he first came back after losing his world title, he had the same type of cut with Devera Williamson. And knowing what I know in the scoring system, I knew at that point that he was winning the fight and he had a serious cut. So I told him, I said, look, man, I'm going to have the doctor stop the cut. You're winning the fight. The doctor came in, she asked what I thought, and I opened up the cut and I said, it's a bad cut. So she understood what I meant. Stopped the fight, went to the scorecards, he won the fight, ended up years later winning the world title. But the next day, Dr. Goodman called me and she says, I just spoke to the surgeon and he says it was a good thing you stopped the cut when you did because it was close to an optical nerve, and if you would have damaged that, he would have had double vision. So that would have been his career. But in this fight here, it's the same scenario. You know, if I was working the cut, what I would have done, gave it one round, maybe two, but then when the doctor came in and looked at it, I would have encouraged him to stop the fight because that would have been the best chance for Badou to go and have a rematch based on that it was an unintentional headbutt. So in that aspect, that's what I would have done, but it's a tough cut to stop.
So do you think basically, considering that he was, you know, not really winning any rounds and the odds of him getting the knockout were pretty slim, that, like you said, they should have probably stopped the fight at any point after the cut happened? Yeah,
of course, you know, and one of the things you got to look at is if a fighter gets at a disadvantage, and there was one point when I saw Badou shaking his head, which is basically he's telling me that, and then he's blinking, so he's getting blood in his eyes, which gives him an unfair advantage. So at that point, the fight should have been stopped, no doubt.
How does that cut stack up compared to some of the ones you've seen in your career?
Yeah, no, that's a major A-League cut, no doubt about it, you know. And the thing I noticed is it was about this big, and then it got real big, you know. So I don't know if the second one came from additional punch or from an additional headbutt, but at that point, by all means, no question, should have been stopped.
Do you think, though, because it was between his eyes and not, you know, like on the eyebrow or something like that, that's why they allowed it to continue like they did?
No, not at all, man. It was between the eyes, but it was getting in his eyes. You know, so that wasn't an excuse for it to continue. And whenever a guy's face it looked like a mask. It looked like he had a red mask on his face. So at that point, yeah, it was way, way beyond, you know, taking care of a fighter. Save the fighter for the next day.
All right, so that aside, you know, you recommend it being stopped, but if you had to deal with it, how do you approach that cut?
I would have jumped on it right off the bat. You know, I would have put a little bit of pressure. What I normally do is I'll go in there and I'll put some pressure on it. I'll clean up the cut. I'll apply the adrenaline chloride 1000, which is a vessel constrictor, so it closes up the blood vessels. And I would have kept pressure on that until they start giving you the 10-second warning. Then I would have covered up. I mixed adrenaline with Vaseline. I would have covered the cut up with that and sent him on his way. And then get ready for the next round. As soon as the bell rang, I would have been inside the ring. And sometimes, many times, if, let's say, Badou was at the opposite side of the corner, I would have gone to him at that point, start applying pressure on the cut.
Is it one of those things that, though, no matter how good you are, whether it be you or anyone else, that, you know, you can only do so much with a cut like that?
Of course, that's a good question, man, and you're absolutely right. You know, just because you're good at what you do doesn't mean every cut you're going to be able to stop. But if you can maintain it and control it, then you've done your job. But, you know, that's the kind of cut that's going to bleed, and it's going to bleed.
Well, we see a lot of people speculating he'll be out a long time. I've seen people say 6 months. I've seen people say a year. I've seen people say he'll never be able to come back from that. So, in your opinion, you know, not emotionally aware, but just from a physical standpoint, how long do you think it would take? You know, of course, everyone's healing's different, but typically, how long do you think it would take for him to come back?
He'll be fine, man. You know, 3 months from down the road, he'll be able to spar again. And you know, people ask me that question, but, you know, keep in mind in the sparring, you have your headgear there anyway. The chances of him getting that same kind of cut are slim. You know, so he'll be fine. No, he's okay. You know, I spoke to Amir, and they put 3 layers of stitches in him, you know, down from the bone to the middle up to the end. So he'll be okay.
And, of course, if you do need to fix a cut like that, You get all your supplies at cutmanforhire.com, right?
I would, if you want to be the best of the best, of course.
All right, Stitch, appreciate it.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you.